Hello.
Thank you.
I'll cut it close.
Every red light.
How are you?
Telling me I cover lunches until 1:30. I darted out of the office. I was like, sounds fair. Somebody showing
I go from Santa
It was
Cruz,
good.
Greenfield to Santa Cruz, Santa Cruz to Greenfield, Greenfield to Ryan Ranch.
Yeah.
Yes.
I think we'll just push it to you.
Give it one more minute. Well, good afternoon, everyone. Let's call the meeting to order at 2:03 PM. And Ruby, can we commence with roll call, please?
Member Matias,
Present.
member Ramirez. Member Neris,
Mayor. Present.
member Grove,
Present.
member McKillop,
Present.
member Hernandez. Member Jimenez. Member Kuda Fuller,
Present.
and we have a quorum.
Okay, and then I understand member Hernandez will be here in the next few minutes, hopefully. So if we get to his part in the agenda, we can always skip and then backtrack. All right, this time are there any guests who would like to introduce themselves? Any guest via Zoom? All right, moving on to item 2 for public comments on matters not on the agenda. Is there anybody in the room present? Anybody on Zoom? All right, seeing none, we'll move on to item 3, but we'll wait for member Hernandez for a moment.
Are we good? It's just board day. So, want me to go up to Stephen Stevens?
We're not there yet.
Oh, sorry.
Ready, huh?
Yes.
Like, I mean, we just started a minute, 2 minutes ago right now. I'm not that fast. All right, we are on item 3, the consent agenda, the approval of the minutes of the meeting from January 29th. I'm sure everyone has read over them by now. If there's a motion to approve the minutes.
Move to approve.
Second.
I have a motion to approve the minutes by member Merritt, a second by member Gross. Since we're all here present, we can vote. All of us.
Everybody, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstain? All right, minutes pass. Okay, item 4, the membership recruitment. Christie?
Good afternoon, MAC members and members of the public. Christy Sugabo, Mobility Services Manager. So with your agenda, there is a staff memo for membership recruitment. Unfortunately, I do need to make a modification during this meeting because on Friday, we received a notice from Diana Jimenez that due to conflict with her schedule within the remaining of the year, she is no longer going to be able to commit to participate in our meeting. But she did recommend another staff to join the committee. So once that's all finalized, we'll come back in May and introduce him to the committee for board recommendation. So for the staff memo, the Mobility Advisory Committee membership is appointed by MST board and makes recommendation to MST staff and the board regarding the transportation needs of seniors, veterans, persons with disabilities, low-income youth, and isolated population. The committee acts as a liaison between MST and those communities to assure that their constituents and clients have input into the MST service planning process. So according to the MAC bylaw, membership of the committee shall consist of individuals chosen to represent key elements of the community, such as the disabled, the elderly, social services, veterans, and healthcare agencies, and comply with the Transportation Development Act requirement of PUC 99-238 for Social Services Transportation Advisory Council membership requirement. So with the requirement, one representative of potential transit user who is 60 years of age or older, one representative of a potential transit user who is disabled, two representative of a local service provider for seniors, including one representative of social transportation provider, if one exists, one representative of local social service provider for persons of limited means, and two representative of local consolidated transportation service agency designated pursuant to the subdivision of section 15975 of the government code if one exists, including one representative from an operator if one exists. Additionally, the bylaws of the committee call for a staggering of members terms so that insofar as possible, 1/3 of appointment expires each year, members shall be eligible for reappointment. So with the modification to not include Diana on here, your committee's approval to receive the alternate appointment of Mario Duran will allow him to vote in the absence of member Reina Gross. Moreover, your committee's membership recommendation for George Ruiz and Elizabeth Gandara will fill 3 vacancies to the Mobility Advisory Committee. So we do have George and Elizabeth here as well as Mario. Mario introduced himself at previous meeting, but would you like to reintroduce yourself? And then from Mario, I'll ask George to come up and then Elizabeth.
Good afternoon. My name is Mario Duran. I'm in the transportation corner in the with Alliance on Aging, and I help out seniors and with transportation options available to them. And yeah, I try to do as much as I can with transportation. So thank you.
Thank you.
And then George Ruiz, he's with Central Coast Center for Independent Living, CISO, and he is their Director of Services.
Hi, good afternoon. My name is Jorge or George Ruiz, and I'm the Director of Services at Central Coast Center for Independent Living. I've been at CESO for 15 years, and I represented CESO and persons with disabilities in Santa Cruz, Monterey, and San Benito County, as well as the state and various committees. Just looking forward to getting my input where needed. Thank you.
And then last is Elizabeth Gandara. She's with County of Monterey Health Department, and she's a health program coordinator.
Hi, everyone. Good afternoon. My name is Liz Gandara. Thank you for the introduction. I am the HIV Health Program Coordinator for within Communicable Disease Prevention and Control out at the Health Department. I am from Gonzales, California. I've been in the Bay Area for the past 7 years, but recently came back about a year ago and came back to work at Monterey County, which I'm super thrilled to represent, hopefully, and I look forward to learning a little bit more about what you all do. Thank you.
Thank you. And so Christy, once approved, they will start in May.
Correct. So the recommendation will go to the board and then, yeah, me.
So on our end, we need to make a motion to approve the recommendation.
Correct. For Elizabeth and George.
And Mario.
I'm sorry?
And Mario.
Mario is your alternate, so.
Okay, so he doesn't have to be there.
Sorry, Mario.
I'll make a motion to welcome George Ruiz and Liz Gandara to the Mobility Advisory Council of MST.
Second.
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Right, it passes. Look forward to seeing you all back here again in May.
Chair, before we move on, Christy, was there an update from the Carmel Foundation on a replacement?
We communicated via email.
Okay, it's in the works.
Yes,
Okay.
there is an individual who is currently a resident of the Carmel Foundation that would potentially be a candidate to represent Carmel Foundation. If not, then just as a member of the public using MST services.
Somebody in the housing who's also used the transportation.
Oh, fantastic.
Great, thank you.
Right, moving on to item 5.1, Aaron.
All right. Actually, it's all right if I just do it from here.
I don't have an issue with that.
Okay, for sure. All right, so good afternoon, Chair and members of the committee. My name is Aaron Hernandez, Transportation Planner with the Transportation Agency for Monterey County. This afternoon, I'm going to provide you an overview of the unmet transit needs process, which we do annually, and then request that we open a public hearing. So for a brief overview, the unmet transit needs process is required by the State Transportation Development Act under the Local Transportation Fund, which allocates 1/4 cent of the general sales tax that is collected statewide and comes back to the county on a population basis to support public transit services. Here in Monterey County, we have MST, which provides public transit services to all the cities in our county. Most of this money goes back to MST for transit services, and a small portion goes to the Transportation Agency for planning, as well as bicycle and pedestrian projects. As a requirement for using these funds, we have 2 public hearings per year to identify any transit needs that are not currently being met. The first public hearing was held at the Transportation Agency's board meeting last month on February 26th, and the second one will be held today. The public comment period for the unmet transit needs process is open until April 17th, and comments can be submitted during today's hearing or can be submitted via email, by phone, or through our agency's website. Once the public comment period closes, staff will gather a list of comments received and determine whether MST can meet these needs through schedule adjustments, or if they are a longer term need that requires additional grant funding. Running list of past years unmet transit needs and their status for each is posted on the Transportation Agency's website, which is tamcmonterey.org. So that concludes my brief overview. Happy to answer any questions from committee members before we open the public hearing.
And individuals can just hop on TAMC's website and submit.
Yes, we have a page dedicated for unmet transit needs, and there's a submission form where they can type or text what their needs are.
And that's open till April 17th.
Yes, 17th.
3 weeks from now. Okay.
So if you guys know of anyone who has raised some concerns to you individually in the past, let them know that that's available for them.
The question, and please forgive me if it's not the question that is to be asked, but you know, I'm always advocating for South County residents or seniors because the bus sites moved, not too far, but they moved. Would that be something that it's a need that we can, you know, go online and say these are the needs that these seniors have in South County?
Yes, so if we receive comments on those type of like needs, then we would collect those comments and then we would review it with the MST staff to see whether it's something that they could address. So, yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Any public comments? Thank you, Aaron. All right, moving on to item 6.1, presentations. If we could get a presentation on changes to MST bus lines from Ms. Patel.
Good afternoon, members. Emma Patel, Planning Manager. Next slide, please. So I'll be talking a little bit about the history of MST service in the East Garrison area and some of the ridership on our current line 61, which serves this area. Next slide, please. With funding from the military, MST was able to start service to East Garrison in the second half of 2019. And there were 2 eastbound bus stops on Sherman Boulevard. Unfortunately, MST services stopped in the East Garrison area once the pandemic hit and military funding never came back. Next slide, please. The Better Bus Network was an opportunity for us to revisit service in the East Garrison community because we continued to get requests from the community for service in this area. Line 61 is our veteran shuttle that connects Salinas to Marina. And an analysis during the Better Bus Network found that there were several inefficiencies on line 61 that could be changed with routing improvements, which opened up the possibility for serving East Garrison. Next slide, please. We looked at census data on seniors, veterans, and people with disabilities during the evaluation, and staff proposed a reroute off of Blanco Road in order to serve East Garrison. And your Mobility Advisory Committee was in support of this change. As MST prepared to install the 6 new bus stops in East Garrison, Monterey County staff notified us that the Urban Services Agreement included a statement that the East Garrison Homeowners Association was responsible for funding transit as part of the community vision. We installed 6 bus stops within East Garrison, and the Homeowners Association was billed for the cost of the installation. They put a stop payment on their check and it bounced. They were also informed that they could pay for operating transit either by paying MST the actual cost of operation through the community or joining MST's group discount program and distribute passes to residents that were interested in these. To date, the HOA has not complied with the terms of the county agreement, so this prompted us to look at changes for line 61 until the Homeowners Association can comply. So suspending service to some of those stops within East Garrison. Next slide, please. Within the East Garrison area, there are currently two affordable housing developments, each have 66 units. And GSPA has plans for a third development that will also have 66 units. They're still looking for funding for this third development, but having transit nearby helps with finding the funding. Next slide, please. The two stops that we had in East Garrison pre-COVID had very low ridership, with less than one boarding per day. That was only over two stops. We now have 6 stops, but the ridership hasn't increased very much, and we're seeing less than 2 boardings per day across all 6 stops. So the 2 stops that we're looking at keeping in this area, they're a set of paired stops. So they're across the street from each other, one serving each direction, and they're on Sherman and Ord. In the last month, these 2 stops have had the highest ridership within East Garrison in their respective directions. And these 2 stops are also within walking distance to all 3 of these affordable housing developments. Next slide, please. So our next steps are we're analyzing the runtime of line 61 and seeing if we could have some possible changes to the line. And that would be able to serve more of the internal marina area. We'll be taking any feedback from you today, and in May, we're planning to suspend service on the other 4 stops in East Garrison. Any comments or questions?
Is there any legal course of action to collect money from the HOA?
For Lisa, Clara?
The total amount that we had billed, sorry, Lisa Reinheimer, Deputy CEO. The total amount that we had billed the HOA was under $1,000. It's really, quite frankly, not worth our time to go after that. However, monthly cost for operating within the East Garrison development is about $7,900, which we gave them the option of getting into our group discount program, which was 5 passes a month, which was significantly less than the $7,900 in the hundreds of dollars, but they've declined that offer too. So at this point, I think the best course of action is to continue serving those low-income housing developments. And if the other people in the rest of the neighborhoods want to walk to that, the retained stops, that's up to them.
Thank you. All right, thank you.
Do you need a motion support?
No, I think it was just a presentation.
No, I also have a verbal update.
Oh, okay. I
Yeah.
thought it was one and the same. So
Yeah.
sure. Thank you.
Sorry, the next item is the verbal update on line 91. As of right now, line 5 and line 91 both operate down San Carlos Street in Carmel. Line 5 serves the stops on San Carlos. Line 91 just drives down there but doesn't serve these stops. We're looking at rerouting line 5 off of San Carlos Street. So in order to not lose service to these stops along San Carlos Street, we'd like to have line 91 serve the stops on San Carlos. This won't affect the routing or the schedule. It'll just be stopping at about 5 more stops on San Carlos instead of having line 5 stop there. So if you have any comments or questions on that one.
Strategically, that makes more sense to me.
Thank you.
All right, thank you. All right, moving on to item 7, report and information items. David?
Good afternoon, everybody. My pages are a little mixed up here. Let's start from reverse. Okay, so this first slide You know, our complaints have gone down quite a bit due to a number of factors. The main one is that, you know, our driver staffing has increased and our on-time performance has improved as well. So that has reduced the number of complaints that we've been receiving. So very pleased to on this slide here. If you go to the next one. Here we go. All right. All right. This is our dispatch call hold time report. We're falling below our contractual goal. As you can see, you know, we've had some changes as of recent. At the beginning of the year and start of this year, we've had a couple of new dispatchers come on board that are still in the training phase of getting used to taking the calls and the wrap up times of making reservations. But I'm hoping to see that improvement. We've also incorporated all our dispatchers into one local room now instead of the two separate rooms that they were in before. So that should be a little bit better for us to monitor the calls and you know, and keep them being answered on time in the wrap up time as well. See some improvement. Next slide. We can go to the next one. We did that one. There we go. I'll get my notes here. Okay. This here also, you know, this is the one that I'm really pleased to discuss. This is our on-time performance and our rides passenger per vehicle hour. On-time performance since November has beaten our contractual goal of 90%. When November, December, and January, we were at 91, which is first time I think we've hit that goal in a number of years. So I'm very pleased about that. Part of that is, like I said, the increase of our driver staffing and getting everybody trained and fully functional and our scheduling has improved that. We did take a little bit of a dip in February due to some, you know, the inclement weather that was going on. But overall, I'm very pleased with our performance here and hope to keep on that trend as we move forward. Our passenger per revenue hour, that is still below our goal that we want to be at, but you know, I'm happy with the increase that I'm seeing. A lot of this has to do with we're seeing an increase of passengers in the South County area that are coming up to north to Salinas and Monterey to the junior college up here and CSUMB, which is, you know, putting a little extra time on the road for the passengers, but still pleased to see that we're making some progress here in that field. All right, if you go to the next slide. All right, this is also our rides, trips, and passengers graph. As you can see, we've had a steady increase in ridership year over year over the past 3 years, which is, you know, nice to see. Each month we're increasing it, you know, by hundreds, you know, even 1,000 passengers per month. So this is a good trend. Glad to see that's consistent and it's increasing, that our community is using the service and that we're able to provide that service to everybody. All right, we go next slide. Just that one. Yeah, the trips by purpose right now.
Do we need to go up?
Couple more. Couple more. All right, there we go. All right. This is our trips by purpose slide. This is our, you know, our yellow cab taxi. You know, we will utilize our taxi service in the area for overflow for you know, the shorter trips that we can't handle, and just to make sure that our customers are arriving to their destinations on time. As you can see, for Yellow Cab, main purpose for scheduling a trip is, you know, dialysis, education and training, medical, and then personal and recreation. It's pretty self-explanatory here. If you go to the next slide. Getting there. Well, our next slide, I'll just kind of jump ahead, is our trips by purse for MV, for what our buses are transporting. Basically the same, along the same lines as the Yellow Cab, for the purpose of our customers out there using the service, with, you know, mostly for education and training and daycare. You know, we have the CASA adult center that we service on a regular basis, but quite a few dialysis patients and you know, personal recreational services as well. So this kind of just breaks it down where how they're using the service and for what needs that they are asking for. And I believe that's the last slide that we have. Do we have any questions?
We may have addressed this once before, but the trips by purpose, both the MV and the Yellow Cab totals, are those represented on the rides, trips, and ride passenger totals?
They should be, yes, on that slide.
I'm trying to do some simple math, and I see here, you know, on the trips by purpose, it goes January 1st through the end of February, about 17,000. But if I add up January and February for rides trips, I guess I get about 17,000. And the rides passengers is about 21,000.
I'll have to get back to you on that math right there.
And then I know we've been seeing, or you guys have been seeing, rather a nice increase in consumers. What demographic are you seeing the most increase of?
You know, I haven't done that study. I'm not sure if, you know, our mobility services department has done any type of studies with that, with like the new applicants that have been coming through. But I'm not aware.
Okay, I'm just curious because I work on the local aging disability action plan, and was curious if it was seniors that were more using this service as Monterey County ages, or if it's a different demographic.
Yeah, you know, I don't know. I wish I had the answer for you on that one. I haven't really done that study on that to see who's using it.
What I can do is I can bring it back next month.
Okay.
And present on demographics, if it's not covered in my presentation later today.
It could be.
Okay.
Any other questions? Thanks, David.
All right, great. Thanks, guys.
All right, item 7.2, MST mobility updates, Christie.
Can we bring up the PowerPoint for the mobility programs update? Oh, okay. Well, my notes is all over the place right now, but that is one of our slides. Are you able to start it from the beginning of the PowerPoint presentation? Awesome, thank you. All right. So again, Christy Sagabo, Mobility Services Manager. Next slide, please. Okay, I'm going to cover the 5 core programs that MST offers to persons with disability, seniors, veterans, and these programs are funded by Measure Q. So we have the MST Rides Program, the Taxi Voucher Program, Travel Training Program, Transportation Reimbursement Incentive Trips Program, the Navigator Volunteer Program. Next slide, please. So starting with the MST Rights Program, which David was providing you some updates on trip information. So on the mobility side, we are in charge of eligibility. The MST Rides Program is in cooperation with the Americans with Disability Act, ADA, that MST offers this program to individuals who have disability, preventing them from using the regular bus services. So in eligibility, there is an application requirement along with an in-person interview to qualify. Once enrolled, certification can be issued as temporary, 3 years, or permanent. And all trips requests are by reservation. So there's no same-day service and trips are shared ride. Service is operated on the same hours as that of the regular bus services within 3/4 of a mile, a quarter from any MST bus stop. So the service fee is a $2 one way. A personal care provider is able to ride for free, but a companion would end up paying a fare of the $2, similar to the registered clients. Next slide, please. So in 2024, mobility staff registered 706 applicants, of which 568 were new certification and 138 were recertification. We ended our year with 2,535 total enrolled participants in the program. 69% of the registered clients are ambulatory, while 31% are wheelchair dependent. And participation age ranges varies at 65% are at age 65 and older, 34% are at age 18 and younger under the age 65, and then 1% younger than 18. Next slide, please. So moving on to the next program, which is the Taxi Voucher Program. There are 3 different categories for the Taxi Voucher Program. Voucher for the elderly, seniors who are 65 and older, persons with disabilities, and veterans. The Taxi Voucher programs require proof of eligibility in order to register and receive taxi vouchers. We currently have voucher distribution and sign-up location within each of any participating cities. And we partnered with persons with disabilities and veterans organization service providers. So currently we have 10 distribution sites for seniors to sign up locations. And then we have 3 for persons with disabilities and 4 for veterans to distribute these vouchers. So once registered and have received taxi vouchers, participants can call any of the participating cab company. Currently, we have Yellow Cab, Orange Cab 1, Orange Cab 2, South Cab, and Marina Cab. And then last year in the Monterey County Regional Taxi Authority did approve licensing for 3 additional taxi cab company. And those 3 cab companies are also providers in the voucher program. So we have VIP Taxi, Salinas Taxi Services, and California Taxi. Each one-way trip cost is $3 copay and 1 voucher. The voucher has a value of $14 up to $17 meter reading. So if the taxi meter exceeds that $17, it's the responsibility of the rider to pay the difference. Next slide, please. So in 2024, we ended a total of 8,426 registered participants. Of that, 64% were seniors, 30% persons with disabilities, and 6% veterans. There were about 58,061 trips taken in 2024, of which 65% of that were taken by seniors, 33% taken by persons with disabilities, and 2% taken by veterans. Next slide, please. The third program is travel training, the travel training program. The travel training program is teaching individuals how to safely and independently travel using the MST bus system. Travel training sessions can be done one-on-one or in a group setting. Enrollment for this one is very simple. Simply just contacting our travel training program line or any of our mobility staff, or email mobility@mst.org, or connect with our customer service department, and they'll transfer you to the mobility department as well. It's open to any individuals varying from youth, persons with disabilities, elderly, veterans. And then some skills learned will vary depending on the participant's needs. It can include planning a trip, boarding with mobility aid or device, reading and understanding bus maps, schedule, or simply just identifying the correct bus to use. Our mobility trainers have worked with organizations like Hope Services, Interim, senior housing facilities, senior centers, schools, veterans organizations. So last year, we had a total of 463 persons who participated in travel training sessions. Next slide, please. So here, we have the Transportation Reimbursement Incentive Program, TRIPS. So the Transportation Reimbursement Incentive Program, TRIPS, is a volunteer driver program where a senior, 65 and older, persons with disability, or a veteran who lives more than 3/4 of a mile walking distance to the nearest bus stop can choose their own designated volunteer driver. MST then reimburse the qualified individuals so that they can reimburse their volunteer driver who use their own vehicle to provide the service. Reimbursement rate is at 62.5 cents per mile. And that's up to about 240 miles a month reimbursement. And then eligibility is for 2 years. Renewal is required for this program. In 2024, we ended with 135 participants. We had 11,592 reimbursed trips, which was up about 42.7% compared to the calendar year of 2023. And then majority of the trips taken is for shopping at 39%, while 28% is attending community centers, 24% for medical appointments, while 7% is visiting friends and family, and then 2% driven to and from work. Next slide, please. And last is our Navigator Volunteer Program. So the Navigator Volunteer Program are volunteers who helps promote MST services and mobility programs to the public and provide bus ride experience feedback to MST or work alongside MST staff at MST events. Volunteers are assigned at senior centers throughout Monterey County to regularly do outreach activities. So location includes the Sally Griffin Center, Pacific Grove, Oldemeyer Center in Seaside, Shoals Park Senior Center in Monterey, Junsei Oaks Senior Center, our Community Center in Marina, Chispa Senior Housing Community Centers in Salinas, and Meals on Wheels of Salinas Valley, South and North County social events as well. Our volunteers committed 609 hours in total in 2004. Though we did ended our year with only 3 volunteers, these are 3 dedicated, amazing volunteers who loves to connect with the community. So we do continue to recruit for volunteers in the Navigator Volunteer Program. So if you know of anyone who's interested, 16 and older, if they're not in school, they can receive a bus pass as an incentive for volunteering their time. If they are currently in school, if they need service hours, we can certainly provide those service hours for them as well. Next slide, please. And that ends my presentation, but I'll be happy to answer any question if you have any question for me. Go ahead, Reina.
I'm scared sometimes.
Thank
It's all for my seniors. So thank you for the slides and especially this one that has the walkers and stuff. So I got 12 complaints this month regarding the walkers, the little carts that they use to, shop and carry. And as years go by, we are getting older, like myself, and lasting longer. And so all of us are needing transportation, like ITN, like MST, the rides, etc. The other ones call a car and everything else. And so we try and hook all our seniors with most beneficial for them. My complaints are, the seniors, when they go in their walker, they have to fold it. I get that part. But then you have these little carts, and I'm even wanting to do a fundraising to buy little carts, not the big ones. Because of a lot of seniors go shopping, whether it's the mall, whether it's the grocery store and everything else. And they get told you have to unload it and then, go and this and that. And unfortunately, there's been some comments from the bus drivers. That's why I'm bringing this right here. Because I'm advocating for our seniors. And so my homework was, well, let me investigate. So I got where did I get the information from? From Ruben or from? Okay. So they let me know, so I can explain, okay, this is the quantity and this is the space and etc. Still was not totally comfortable for them because again, like Mario encountered a man walking from a mile distance with his 6 bags. I'm like, we got to get him a little cart. But then again, if he does a little cart in the bus, there is limitations. And one of the things for me is, can we work with them? I understand and I haven't been on the bus for a long time. I know there's the spot when the wheelchair goes in and they buckle it up and etc. But there's not enough. And then space wise, yes, it's space wise. But once in the bus, like I said, I haven't been in the bus in a while, the distance. So those are the concerns and comments that my seniors wanted to share with this group, because again, we have a growing population. A lot of our low-income seniors cannot afford ITN, and I think ITN is one of the marvelous ways for them to connect, and they can even put them in the trunk and everything else. But
Not
when
the
those-
riders, the riders.
Why?
Sometimes the driver.
They navigate. So I wanted to bring to that table because again, first they get hit with, moving the destination from their site. So, and I'm talking about Casa de Oro, Soledad Apartments, King City, all those, like I said, all the South counties. Salinas and the Peninsula are amazing, covered and all that. But I feel we're forgetting our South County folks. And I know there's a lot of services, but still, even if it's this little small thing, it's very important to them. And so how can we help them and see what we can do and stuff besides me doing a fundraising for the little carts? But even if let's say they put 10 bags in that little cart, they're gonna have them, empty them and put them in the seat and this and that. And that's time consuming. What I didn't like is the complaints of the bus drivers announcing to the rest of the passengers, oh, well, guess who's here and we're gonna wait a little while. Yeah, that's wrong. That's wrong. So I am happy we have MST. I all the programs they have and all the services. But that little comment is wrong. So I don't want my seniors to feel that way when they're getting on a bus or going, oh no, here's this person again. They're gonna humiliate me. They're gonna embarrass me. I might as well take the next one, or they're doing that now to where they're afraid to get on that bus because of that person and saying this stuff. So that's I wanted to bring to that table because we need to know. That's why we're here.
you for your comment, Reina. So our coach operators, so mobility staff actually participate in coach operators training for new hire and their VTT retraining. And part of our training to our coach operator is how to provide customer service to persons with disabilities, the elderlies, under the Americans with Disability Act. So I think we need to work a little bit more on that end, training our coach operators regarding their comments. But as for the cart situation, if I were to address the cart situation, so our bus, our bus has 2 securement locations right at the front entrance of the bus. It can accommodate 2 wheelchairs at a time. It also accommodate persons with hidden disabilities. A shopping cart, however, is not recognized as a mobility aid or device under the Americans with Disability Act, but we understand that with the aging population, hidden disabilities, it is probably used as a mobility device for stability. We've worked with our coach operators how to handle any passengers who boards with shopping carts. We do have, I believe, Norm is here. And he is, Norm deals with our operation sides of MST. So perhaps maybe he can speak a little bit more about that.
Thank you.
Okay.
Hello, everybody. I'm Norm Tutubuki. I'm the Chief Operating Officer for Monterey Salinas Transit District. We appreciate and welcome your feedback, and we apologize for anything that may have happened out there that shouldn't have happened out there. So we are listening, and we encourage you, anytime something like this happens, you reach out, have somebody call our customer service line, the date, the time. That's all we need, and then we can pull video and then take the appropriate corrective action that we need to take. But we're here to learn, and we're here to receive your comments and your report so that we can get better. But I think, like Christy talked about, the more information and feedback that we get, the better job, or the better we are going to be equipped to meet the needs of the community. And we understand that there are things that happen out there where, in the heat of the moment, the operator may do or say something that they shouldn't do. Like I said, we apologize for that. And if we know about it, we'll take the corrective action. But it sounds like we need to take some of this feedback back to our safety and training department, and then also work with MV, our contractor, give them the feedback that we hear on the street so that they can understand, and feel the customer's experience so that we can react better. Yeah. So thank you.
Because I brought this, and we did guide them saying, what number was the bus, what time and stuff. And so they really didn't want to share. I mean, they shared, but they said, I'm only telling you, I don't want you to share this, because they get scared, because they have to ride the bus again. They have to see that person again. And so, like I said, they're actually skipping that person to get the next bus because they don't want to be embarrassed or humiliated by that person.
Yeah.
So
Understood.
that part is like,
That's not acceptable to me. That's not acceptable to anybody here at MST. So, like I said, we apologize. And if we, have a little bit of information, we're able to investigate further and take,
I'll bring it.
the appropriate corrective action.
These gentlemen and give it to you.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Then,
Okay.
Christy, forgive me, I haven't ridden a taxi in a long time, but how far does $17 get you?
Well, when we first started with the program, could potentially get you as far as 5 miles.
And that's assuming no stops, because I'm assuming still, and it's been a while, that the taxis charge me if I'm sitting there in traffic, but still not moving.
The meter will move when the vehicle is moving. And I know they charge drop fees as well. But to answer your question, it's approximately about 5 miles distance.
A follow-up to that, isn't the taxi entity that regulates certain things, it's also why they can only enroll in the program if they've done a certain training and have a certain certification. Don't they set standards to the rates in which can be charged?
Well, let me have Norm come back and answer that for you. He's our RTA administrator.
I don't have the exact answer. All I know at this point that I can speak to, and I can do a little bit of research, is that the rates have been set and they've been set for a while.
Okay.
But to
I
speak.
looked at it
go ahead.
recently. I think it's a 375 pickup and 270, yeah, 350 pickup and 275 or 3 something a mile.
Yeah, it's 350 per mile max, and then the drop fee is 350 max. That drop fee is just what they charge just for showing up. So the
Okay,
max
so that's what
station-
we call a pickup fee. Okay, okay,
Yeah.
so a 350 start, yep, okay, and then it's
And then
max is
350
the.
per mile max.
Yeah.
Current.
Thank you, Kevin. Oh, and just to give some context about the 5 miles, from here to Lighthouse and PG is about 7 miles, 6.75 miles, something like that. Just to give you some context about,
Yeah.
the distance that they can travel.
There's a minimum, 1 mile minimum.
Another question.
Yes, sir.
Well, I guess 3 points for Christy. So just thinking about the slides again. So on the mobility programs for MST rides, I saw that you mentioned that eligible areas are 3/4 within a bus stop. And I just want to make sure, because sometimes in my head I try to think of fixed route, 3/4 of miles of fixed route, but just to be clear, it is 3/4 of miles of a bus stop area for the MST rides program.
So the MST Rides is a program in cooperation with the Americans with Disability Act, specifically to mirror services for our fixed route bus system. So when I say fixed route, I guess to generalize it, you see the bus stop not too far from each other. So at that bus stop, it's 3/4 of a mile out on either side is the service area for our paratransit services. Now for MST rides, however, we do have what's called a special trip service area, and that serves outside the 3/4 of a mile North County and South County area. So the North County side up to like the Romas Monterey County jurisdiction line. That's our service area for special trip. And then down all the way to Bradley. So past the King City, because we do have bus system all the way out to King City. But our special transportation extends all the way out to Bradley. And that special trips location extends 2 miles out from either side of 101. And with the special trip, there is a surcharge to the regular ADA fare. So for MST rides, it's the $2 regular fare. But if you are to be traveling within that special trip location, there's an additional $2 surcharge to that one-way trip. And then again, with personal care attendant, they ride for free. And then if you have a companion that just wants to ride with you to go out to lunch, they would be charged a fare of the same amount that the passenger would be paying.
Gotcha. Thanks. Then I guess then that leads to for the trips program. Well, since it's a reimbursement program, and since that's outside of I guess the service area is beyond the 3/4 of the mile buffer. I was curious to know because it seems like it's more focused on serving the more rural areas of the county. I'm just curious to know if there's like any information of like which areas of the county utilizes that program more.
Yes, we do keep track. I actually didn't include it in my PowerPoint presentation today, but in the past I did. We do have a map that will illustrate where our participants in our trips program is. Currently, we do have an individual all the way out in Parkfield. So the the idea of this program is basically for any individuals who are not able to access our existing services here in the county. So we have folks that are very rural and remote that are not receiving services such as the taxi voucher or the MST rights program. So that's what TRIPS is for.
Gotcha. And then just for my last point, or just wanted to share, I did make a little quick visit to the mobility center about like 2 weeks ago.
Yeah.
So it was actually funny because our Tampsey office is not too far, but this whole time I've been at Tampsey, I've never visited the mobility center. So it was a pretty neat facility, and Christy got to show me a lot. So if anyone here hasn't been at the mobility center, I suggest you make a visit.
No, it's fine.
On
Yeah.
Lincoln Street.
Yeah.
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 One follow-up question to the TRIPS program, in addition to where they reside and then what ride purpose read then, do you have who is providing the ride as detailed information that the riders give?
No, we don't, because the relationship with the volunteer driver is with the client or the participant who is enrolled in the program. And so our relationship is with the enrollee and not, or the enrolled participant and not the volunteer driver. So these are folks that could be their neighbor, family member, that is trusted, that they trust to provide them that transportation. So we don't have that information. Mhm.
Christy, you may not know this. I live in Greenfield. From my house, which is a new construction build, to my nearest bus stop is a mile, but they're still building further east and west, expanding that mile, mile and a half, 2 miles out. Does MST have plans to expand more bus routes in Greenfield to accommodate the 3/4 mile?
Well, anyone wants to speak on that? Okay.
Carl Sororik, CEO of the Monterey Salinas Transit District. No. Um, Land use is one of the greatest challenges that we have as a transportation provider. We comment on every new development and we advocate for closer, denser populations closer to existing lines. Monterey Salinas Transit does not have a local sales tax available to support our local fixed route services. The only thing we have is supports the mobility programs that Christy has just mentioned. And frankly, the funds that come through Measure Q don't cover every eligible cost that we could cover. I think we mentioned that in our Measure Q update. So as communities continue to grow in a less dense way and move further and further away from urban centers, the more traffic they're going to cause. And unless they're going to these developments improve the roads, which generally they don't, you're going to see the impacts of that as you've seen all around the state, all around the country as suburban growth goes. So it's really an issue for MST. We advocate, Emma and her team do a great job of advocating as new developments go through the planning and permitting process to say, you need to consider transportation in these projects. Then it's really then up to the cities, individual cities to determine whether they're going to make requirements of these building permits and projects as they go through and what they're going to do. So we're kind of limited. As from an MST standpoint, it's really up to the individual cities to control how they grow.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, thank you, Christy.
Okay.
All right, moving on, item 8, announcements and appreciations. I do want to mention that at the Measure Q meeting last week, Christy was recognized for her 20 years of service with MST.
Thank you.
And as for announcements, the Blind and Visually Impaired Center is officially opening up our Marjorie McNeely Low Vision Clinic tomorrow. We have been open since February, but we're having our ribbon cutting ceremony tomorrow. If anybody's able to attend, it is at the Alliance on Aging, or I'm sorry, AOA, the Hub, at 236 Monterey Street in Salinas at 5 p.m.
Be there, be there. Real quick announcement, I want to share, Mario took 8 seniors, kind of like the training, how to get on the bus and all that to, Monterey, and they had fun, even though it was cold. I didn't think anyone was gonna show up, but they did. So they had an amazing time, and now they're, scheduling, especially the new person that got hired to do travel training. He's gonna pair with Mario. But, I was excited because like, yes, finally we're doing this. So I just wanted to share that.
Chair, Carl would like to make a brief announcement on the Measure Q 10th year anniversary.
Yeah.
It's been 10 years.
It has been April 1, and this is not a joke. April 1 will be 10 years since we first began collecting Measure Q funds. And the great work that Christy and her team, in those 10 years, we've had 1.2 million trips taken on the MST Rides program by persons with severe disabilities. We've had over about 660,000 boardings on our special senior shuttles and our veteran shuttle to the VA DoD clinic combined. The taxi voucher program has carried over 410,000 trips on the taxi vouchers. There have been 36,000 volunteer trips programs made by people outside of the areas that we serve that you just heard about. So these trip programs, 36,000. You mentioned some travel training that occurred. We've had over 4,700 total travel training sessions occur over the past 10 years. And the navigators have logged over 7,700 hours of volunteer service through that program. So some great work. The Measure Q was a 15-year program. So 2029 is when that will end unless we have it renewed. And so that gives us either 2026 or 2028 to get this back on the ballot and hopefully remove the sunset and possibly add some additional funds for our programs, transit programs, both Measure Q and our general service transit programs, so that we can continue to do more as our population continues to age. There's some legislation being put forward now in Sacramento, carried by our Assembly Member Don Addis, AB 761, that will help us make that happen and look to the future, either a 2026 or 2028 ballot measure to extend Measure Q, hopefully indefinitely, and then possibly add more funds for our transit programs in Monterey County. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, everyone. Our next meeting will be held on Wednesday, May 28th at 2:00 p.m. and we will adjourn at 3:07.
Thank you.